In today's episode, we'll be giving our picks for UFC 311.
Do something, man. People are questioning you. Shut up. Shut up.
Okay, yep, do that. Sure, guys. Stupid and dumb. Just an idiot. Get your shit together, son. Fuck it. I loved it. Welcome to the dub. I'm joined by the one and only Shane. You want to give yourself a little intro or just dive right in?
My name's Shane. I mean, I'll give a quick intro. My name's Shane. I've been into UFC for a couple of years now. I've always been like overtly into UFC because I wrestled in high school, so a lot of my friends just were super into it, and then I sort of after high school got into really the deep weeds of it, and it's such an amazing sport. I can't wait to talk about this card. We got an amazing card today, Colin.
Yes, we do. Talk about it. Saturday night. Is this still in Anaheim?
Yes, they didn't move it. They specifically did not move it because I don't know why. I genuinely don't know why, because every other sport event that happens at this arena before and after has been moved.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're so dead set on keeping it here, but lo and behold, they are.
Trust Dana.
Trust Dana.
So before we get into UFC 311, I like to recap 310, but I actually want to recap UFC 309 because I believe you're part of that crew that went to New York City. So tell me a little bit about that. Oh, he's got the cup. Okay.
I got the cup right here. This is actually a funny story. I went to UFC 309. It was literally the best experience I've ever had at a live event. Like, I've been to NBA games. I've never been to an NFL game. Fair enough. I've been to MLB games. I've been to all NCAA, and it nothing compares. Like, it was amazing. If you ever have the chance to go and get tickets, go and see a UFC fight. Even if you get a chance at like a fight night or something, just go and see it. It is such a great experience. The fights were amazing. It really, really sucked to see Chris Weidman not be able to fight in his hometown and stuff. But I know that there was a lot of chatter about John Jones and his fight with Miocic. Miocic looks slow and stuff. And sure, yes, looking back at the fights, I did rewatch the fights after. Looking back at the fights, Miocic looked very not like himself for sure. But in the moment, like being there, having a few stadium beers, getting there, getting pat down by Secret Service for the first time ever in my life, probably the only time, because Donald Trump, you went in there and literally the people that would be wearing security gear were wearing Secret Service gear, and they said Secret Service on it. And
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like, it was just a crazy experience. Totally recommend it. I don't, to be honest, of the night, I don't really remember much of the fights other than, the big ones. Charles Oliveira that fight was crazy. I remember me and my crew were all screaming, one more time, when Chandler stood up the second time.
It must have been electric.
It was electric. Oh my gosh. But yeah, to be honest, my parlay did not hit for that night, but it was a great night.
That's awesome. I want to go to the next time they have one in Boston. I don't know when it's going to be, but it's on the bucket list for sure. So last question about UFC 310 or 309. Are you guys on the pro Jones train? I know one of your friends, I think he's very pro Jones, right? But that was a long time ago.
John Jones, heavyweight champion.
Oh boy.
Got this at the fights. They are pro Jones. I'm pro Jones in the GOAT debate. I don't let my boy Joey hear this, but I do kind of like Tom Aspinall. I love Tom Aspinall.
I know.
I hate his fans, but I love Tom Aspinall.
Maybe one day we'll be here talking about a John Jones Aspinall.
That was probably the craziest reaction from the crowd was when because everyone was expecting him to get on mic, hand off the gloves, like that was it,
Yep.
That's done. But he was like, maybe if me and Dana get to talking, we might see what happens. And that was probably the most electric the crowd was, other than like when Donald Trump walked in.
Yeah.
They went wild for that.
I don't know. I'm not holding my breath for it. I think he might just troll Tom and just retire, but we'll see. I mean, we're here to talk about.
I'm kind of holding my breath about it, but yeah.
You think it's possible?
I think it's very possible from all the rumblings that's been happening. I think don't holding your breath, like not holding your breath about it, if you're like really want it to happen, I think is a good idea, because there's a very good chance that it doesn't happen. But I think from everything that Dana's been saying and everything that John's been saying and everything that Tom's been saying as of post John versus Miocic, I think it's really just like about the money. It's probably going to be a Saudi card, and then it's just I think it might happen. I might be, it might be copium, but I think it actually might happen.
I want it to happen. I'll keep the faith. I think we still have time. It should happen.
I think it should happen.
But we're here to talk about UFC 311. Before that, let's go into UFC 310. So were you able to watch a lot of this event? December.
That I did watch a lot of the main card. I will be honest, the prelims I did not catch most of, but Oh wait, no, I'm looking at the wrong. Yes, I did watch most of this.
Okay, so usually I don't like to go over every single fight, but just the stuff that I ended up betting on. So my boy Vicente Luque took him. He was a pretty big underdog. He got a nice submission.
Yes. Performance of the night.
Yeah, big win out of him. I thought Aljamain Sterling, a lot of people don't like him, but I thought he should have won that fight. I know Evloev's kind of undefeated, and they kind of give the backing to undefeated fighters. Like, we can talk about that a little bit more maybe later on, especially our co-main event in this fight. But
can we stick real quick, because I don't know if you know this about me. My favorite fighter of all, like, not of all time, but the fighter that I follow the most and the fighter that I love the most, Aljamain Sterling.
Really?
No one would believe this about me. Like, I get shit on it a lot. I'm such a weird, and we'll get into this later with the fights later on, but I'm such a weird UFC fan. I'm an Aljo Merab camp like guy. I love it. And I was watching this fight like every time, like I even rewatched it, and I was like, I know that it's way too much bias on my end, but I just don't see how it's a unanimous decision is crazy to me. I think like that fight was so much closer. Like I've been in comment sections on pages like fighting like I was in this one comment section with this dude talking about like Aljo gave him a better run than, it's crazy to say, than Diego Lopez on his debut, which this guy was trying to argue to me that Diego Lopez on his debut was giving a better run to Movsar Evloev also early on in his career than Evloev now versus Aljamain now, which like that's a different point. But I really thought that Aljamain won this fight. I bet on it too. I'm sure you bet on it. I did see that it was on your thumbnail. I wanted to watch a few of these before I got into it, but I just didn't have the time.
It's all good.
Yeah.
We're here now. I mean, I was actually driving because me and my crew, we go to Dave & Buster's to watch all the fights. Oh, this was like the transit fight.
Really?
Yeah, they have the fights there free. If you ever need a place to go.
I've gone before. Last time I was there was Gaethje Poirier 2, the BMF belt.
Okay, yeah. So we actually, my little UFC backstory. So I got into it the second time Conor and Poirier fought. That's like when I got into it, because I watched like Ultimate Fighter with my dad growing up, but I kind of just gave up on it. COVID hit, and then we were kind of just watching that fight. So I was like, oh shit, like time to get back into it. I'm a Usman guy. I'll put it out there now. I like Usman, but I don't know if he's ever even going to fight again. Anyways, I was watching a bunch of those cards.
Versus why am I fucking Khamzat? That Khamzat fight, like it was a close fight for him. Sad. Coming back, going up a weight is like, that was a close, on a week's notice is close.
I know. And then he hasn't been back since then. I think he took the whole 2024 off.
Yep, all of 24.
So really, like, I've been kind of back and forth. I just got back into betting like last year, so I was kind of like doing little bets here and there. What got me really back into it was UFC 300. So we were actually at Dave & Buster's for UFC 300, right, with all the big screens watching that. So that was where I got back into it. So since then, UFC 301 was the first podcast I did. So since then, I've been kind of looking deeper into the stuff.
Let's go.
Yeah. So now we're here, 10 cards later, hopefully a better man for it. But I actually need to recap Yeah, this is 11. So I actually need to recap my picks. So 4-1 on my picks last time, but my overall record is 17-24. I need some help. We need some winners today.
Okay,
Yeah,
dude.
so we gotta get some winners up here.
I got you.
All right, so moving on with UFC 310. One of my parlays was the Sterling and Evloev fight to go the distance, and then also Durden and Van to go the distance. I mean, I don't know if you want to touch on Durden and Van at all. I don't know if you even watched that fight, but it was
Yes, I did watch that. Oh my god. Dude, I had Joshua Van money line, so I was watching this fight very heavily.
yeah,
And dude, you had it to go to the distance?
yeah, that was a
I
sweat because Durden looked like he was about to like die.
Dude, yes. That fight was such the perfect image of a prelim fight. Like just the dude's gassing out and like he's pushing ahead, but like any punch could really get both of these guys. Like any good punch would really get both those guys at the end of that fight. And I am glad that it was a UD because definitely Joshua Van, I think, won all 3 rounds. I'm not 100% certain on that, but like
Yeah,
he
I
it was
think Durden may have won the first round because he got a takedown or something. It's kind of jogged my memory at this point, but
yeah.
I like Joshua Van. He makes the prelims interesting.
I
Besides
love
that,
Joshua Van, yeah.
I was a big Brian Battle guy because I watched UFC Paris. I liked his performance, but then he's doing the Mario Bautista against Randy Brown. He clinches against him in the last 2 rounds to win. I thought that was kind of lame, but I do like Brian Battle.
I agree this fucks with his aura. Now, see, I became a Brian Battle fan slightly early. Not as early as some people where they loved him in the
I watched that season.
Spike TV.
Ultimate Fighter. I actually watched that season too.
The one before, who's the guy that he fought? It was Anjay Losa. It was a fight night. It was the Tuivasa versus Ty Barra fight night where Labosa gets I think gets eye poked or something that just ends the fight. And the guy, I don't know if you've ever seen this clip. The guy gets so he's like, oh, I can't fight. And then after the fight gets called a no contest, they both don't raise their hand or whatever. He gets in his face. Anjay Losa just is getting in his face, talking all this shit. And Brian Battle, he has one clear line because in the Apex, and you can hear him, and it's like, oh, now you want to fight or something like that. It's like, you want to fight now. And I see that in all the Brian Battle since then. I looked him up on Instagram and I followed him, and fucking that fight in Paris was amazing. Like being a Brian Battle fan before that, and then seeing the fight in Paris, and then seeing him explode was nuts.
Sick, yeah.
I was such a I just got in there last second to be part of that before, knowing who he was beforehand and seeing his growth.
He also, I think he missed weight on this fight too. So
he did.
Yeah, so that was part of the problem there. But
made me scared when I bet on him. That made me scared.
Yeah, I don't know. We can talk about weight cutting later, maybe. But keeping it on, Dominic Reyes, pretty easy win against Anthony Smith. This was the weirdest fight I've ever seen. Anthony Smith, I mean, I don't think he should have been in the ring. His friend died.
Not only that, personal stuff that was going on, but it was just kind of I don't even want to call it fake hype because it's hating on him, and I like Anthony Smith as a guy, but the hype that he got over at the Sphere card over Vitor Petrino, the dude I don't think had ever really shot in a takedown in his life, and for some reason goes for a takedown in the biggest moment, in the biggest fight of his career, and then Anthony Smith just boom, pulls the gilly like he's fucking Dustin Poirier, but it actually works. And I don't know. Anthony Smith, I thought he would have just retired. That would have been a perfect fight to just retire. You don't get knocked out by Khalil Roundtree. You don't get this fucking shitty fight with Dominic Reyes, where Dominic Reyes doesn't even look like he wants to fight you anymore. Towards the end of that fight, he just was beating him and was just
he also had Delidze come up a weight class and beat him at that one in the summer with Ferreira.
Yeah, that was before. That was
that was before
that Sphere card where he got that crazy win. Where again, that should have been a loss. The UFC fully booked him to lose that fight against Vitor Petrino for the whole continuation of his career. If you look at both of their trajectories going into that fight, he should have lost, and the UFC booked that for him to lose. And then he just pulls out this crazy win. I don't know. I thought that would have been the perfect fight to just hang up the gloves. But
Yeah. He's what I like to call a punching bag, and I know it's kind of disrespectful for me saying that because I don't fight at all, but it's like when you see Anthony Smith, it's like, especially at lower odds, it's like you're going to hammer the person he's fighting against because it's Anthony Smith.
I had it mixed up. You were right. It was Delitse after Petrino. It was Roundtree before
Yeah, Petrino was at the 301 in Brazil, I think. Yep.
No. Yeah, Petrino was 301, and then he was 303. I forgot that he fought that fight against.
They did like this whole shuffle. He was supposed to. I think he was supposed to fight Roundtree, or it was like that whole shuffle with the fight or the card that Connor was supposed to fight on. Yeah, Olberg was in there, and then they all pulled out. Jamal Hill, who we'll talk about later, was supposed to fight at that card as well. So, anyways, keeping it moving. So Shavkat versus Ian.
I love this
You
fight,
love that fight
so much. I love this fight so much. The build up to it, the most, I believe it was the highest amount of wins of
without
undefeated fighters going into a fight. And it was just like, it was so technical, and every movement meant something in that fight. And towards the end of it, like just, I thought I had a little bit of coping because I did have Ian Gary as the underdog going into this fight, winning it. I thought that there was but it was really only in the third round. But there was, I think, 2 moments that Ian Gary was very close to finishing the fight, which, depending on the judge that you get, it means more. So, which that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. I came out a little bit unimpressed by Shavkat. Like, my image of him was kind of just like this killer who could go through anything. And granted, I kind of like Ian too, because I think Ian's he's a good fighter. Sometimes it's boring, but sometimes he has good fights.
I didn't like Ian going into this fight, but I just was like believing in him, believing in the hype because he was an underdog. Just like, okay, let me try and feed into this. And that really showed me. I think, if anything, don't let that deteriorate from Shavkat. I think that more let that boost Ian Gary.
Yeah, I agree with you. It looks like Shavkat.
I think both these guys beat Bilal. The Leon Edwards that we saw against fucking Bilal, and again, I actually like Bilal. Or not again, but I like Bilal. Bilal's a great fighter, a wrestler at heart, and he pulls out a win all the time. But I just think all those fights are just so not close, but just there's moments where just things can switch with every fight, I guess. But I believe either of these two guys can beat Bilal. I don't want Bilal to lose the belt. I'd actually love Bilal to beat both these guys, but I do think both these guys can beat Bilal.
That division at the top is really interesting right now.
It's the most competitive division, I think. Like, lightweight is competitive as of a year and a half ago.
Lightweight kind of just has like the old guard. Like, you have like the Gaethje, Poirier kind of.
This is the most competitive. Like, you have Jack Del Molina, you still have the old guard in Kamaru Usman. You have fucking Leon Edwards who's fighting Jack Del Molina soon. Like, that's
Buckley, Colby.
Buckley, dude. Like, that is a surging. I love that division. That division is so competitive. Got like good luck to fucking to Bilal.
I don't think he's gonna have his belt for long. But so keeping it moving, 310. You spoke about judges earlier. Do we need to talk about this Cyril Gane win over?
I had Volkov.
I'm sorry. I was sitting at the table. All my friends had Volkov, and I had Gane. I just had to put my head down and be like, a win's a win.
Dude,
I don't know.
If you had Gane, if I had Gane, I don't know how I would react. And actually, I think I had Pennington Pena versus Pennington, and that was kind of a similar feeling. But this was crazy to me. Like, we don't need to talk too much about it because I think everyone's talked about it at this point. Like, this was crazy to me. One quick shout out I would love to give to this card is motherfucking Bryce Mitchell.
I was gonna get to that,
and fucking up that Gracie, because we love Gracies, but Crone specifically is the fraud Gracie of all Gracies.
He didn't deserve to be on that main card. That's the 4th fight, please.
I have a little bit of extra hatred because they gave my boy Aljamain a fucking prelim fight instead of putting him on the
that should have been
exactly.
I agree.
We don't
even Dominic Reyes versus Anthony Smith. Like, we had fights to put on there instead of fucking Kron Gracie.
I think those ones were. I think literally the only one that was cut out was
No, it was so we had Nate Landwehr versus Choi was the 5th, and then you
forgot
had
about
Bryce
that
Mitchell,
fight.
and then Gon, then Ian, then Pantoja. So
That's a
quickly,
good that's a good fight. The Landwehr versus Choi fight is a good fight. But as a main card, like
yeah,
with
I
all
didn't
these other
understand that.
names, it just doesn't make sense.
I didn't get it
Sorry
at
to cut
all.
you off.
No, go. No, it's fine. So really, the only other thing is, so the situation you're talking about, how you'd feel about Gon. So my big parlay, I had Battle, Reyes, Gon, and Shavkat. So at that point, I was like, it was still going, and Pantoja. So I was like, I need Gon to keep this going. Like that was my big parlay of the night, and then Gon wins. So I was like, I had to feel a little bit happy, but I couldn't show it too much. I was around a bunch of Volkov
Yeah,
supporters. So
that
anything you want to
I
talk
could.
about with Pantoja or the Choi? I don't forget what his first name is. He looked good, but Pantoja, I mean, I don't know who's going to beat this dude. That division,
Dude,
that might be the worst division.
no, the flyweight division is so fun right now. I made fights. I made fights instantly. The second this fight was over, I was like, Kai Asakura versus the guy who just lost to Brandon Royval. That was low key fight of the year. Like I feel like nobody talks about it.
Yes,
That
Tyra.
Brandon Royval versus
Yep.
Tyra or whatever his name is. That guy was like both of those fighters were just amazing. That guy versus Kai, I think is just a fight in the like first. I don't know the last time the UFC went to Japan. I would assume it's the first time since Pride was always, competing with
Right.
them. I would assume it'd be their first time in Japan if they went to Japan with these two Japanese stars. Like, I think that'd be a perfect fight to make. Maybe they train together, so maybe there might be some problems with that. But then you have Royval. I see the problems with Royval, but he's already booked against someone. I forget
He's
who.
fighting Cop, Manel Cop, right?
I forgot about this.
I
That
think.
is that is such a I think that's such a fuck you for beating the guy who was going to get the fight after this. Because if uh Tyra won this fight versus Royval, 100% he's getting the winner of these two that just fought. I
Yeah.
think
So it's
yeah.
Royval versus Cop. I think Kai Kara will get the shot next against Pantoja, even though Pantoja's already beat him, right?
Yes. Kai Kara will definitely get the shot next, and then I think it will be between um Royval and Cop, which when Cop first got into the UFC, I was super always. I love Cop, and then before
He
he
lost
lost.
that kid who got kicked out,
Yeah,
Makhachev.
before he lost to Makhachev, though, it was fuck. I cannot remember. Um, Whatever. Maybe he didn't lose, but he just had a boring fight after leading up so much to it. This similar to Makhachev fight, where I was just like, I don't know. I like this guy's fighting style, and I really like this guy. I believe he was in Ryzen before this. When he was fighting in Ryzen, his fights were so entertaining. I think this is a big fuck you to Royval. What
The
unless
problem
Royval
is they've
because
all
Royval was
fought
calling out.
Pantoja. Yeah.
Royval was calling out Pantoja, and now he has to fight a real genuine threat in Cop. Like I would not feel. I mean, I'll feel comfortable because it'll be more exhilarating to watch, but I wouldn't feel comfortable if I was someone who really wanted to win money off bets. I wouldn't feel comfortable betting on this fight because
Yeah.
it
It could go
genuinely
either
can
way.
go either way, especially at the flyweight division, dude. It is,
You also have Moreno sitting out there.
dude.
I don't
And
know.
Moreno just lost or just won his last fight, and it's just like he's
He
probably
destroyed that. He looked good in that fight.
he looked so good. So if anything, it's going to be Kai Kara France versus Pantoja. The next one gets the winner of that gets Moreno, and then probably the loser of that gets the winner of Royval versus Cop, and then the winner of that gets the next title fight after. That's the way that I would see
All
it
right.
out.
Maybe there is some intrigue in the flyweight because all you see
I
online
like
is
the
that there's
flyweight.
no fights left for Pantoja, but you lay out a
There's
good case.
there's
So
no there's always interesting fights at flyweight division. The thing is does it look interesting on a poster? No, Royval versus Pantoja. What would it be? 4-3? Like that doesn't look super interesting. I feel like on a poster, especially when you deep dive into their fights. But it when you see that people earn their shot, you just have to give it to him. Like it is. I believe the UFC sees it more as a business than a sport, but as a fan, I see it more as a sport than a business. And the people who deserve their chances deserve their chances.
I like that take. All right. Anything else on UFC 310 before we dive into our?
I got nothing else. I got
All
nothing
right.
else, brother.
So let's get into these early prelims. First fight of the night, we have a flyweight bout. So we are still in the flyweight division.
Yes, sir.
Tagir Ulanbekov versus
Yep.
Clayton Carpenter. I'm gonna keep it real. I don't know anything about either of these guys. I did my
Really?
little. Am I supposed to know? Is one of these guys?
Yes, you're supposed to know. I believe Ulanbekov is the first fight Khabib will be cornering this fight card.
Oh,
right?
he's coaching. Okay.
He's coaching 3 fights this fight card, and I believe Ulanbekov, and then obviously Umar, and then
Islam.
obviously Islam.
So he gets a nice little break. So first fight and then last
I
two.
believe this is the first guy that Khabib is. So this is why this guy is on every single one of my parlays.
You have Ulanbekov.
Yes, Ulanbekov is being coached by Khabib against Clayton Carpenter, who, I mean,
He's undefeated.
He's undefeated, and it's just, I don't know. The name Nurmagomedov in your corner just really
I know.
elevates everything. It's tough because this is how every guy, or not every guy, most people going up against another Dagestani have looked. Like it's like, oh, it's another unbeatable guy that's going to, and maybe it might be a close fight. I could be wrong, but I think the influence is going to be too much here.
So usually I like to avoid the first fight of the night, just because usually like two guys haven't really been in the UFC. However, I did kind of like Clayton Carpenter in this. I don't know why. But now you're telling me I didn't know that thing about Khabib at all, so that's making me pause a little bit. But I think he has a chance in this. I don't know, undefeated, like first fight of the night. You know, let's get frisky. Weird things can happen.
Okay.
Also, Ulanbekov hasn't fought in a year. He hasn't fought since
true.
December of 2023. So I don't know what he's going to look like.
I believe he was injured. I don't know.
Okay, he was hurt. Okay,
but I believe he was hurt.
Yeah, I just think I think it's closer than the odds indicate. Like Ulanbekov at -320, I feel like that's a little bit like wider than I expect it to be, especially for the first fight of the night, where usually like it could go back and forth. I mean,
That's why it's wide though, is the storyline.
Yeah, it's Khabib, so I understand it. I mean, we'll talk about that later with the Khabib lines and what's going on there. I also am looking at this fight to end via submission. So this is one of my new favorite bets, is just picking a method of victory. You don't have to have a specific fighter. Usually it's got a plus sign on it, so I'm like, might as well. Ulanbekov, he's got over half of his wins have come via submission, and Carpenter has half of his wins coming via submission. So maybe if I bet Carpenter, but he loses.
Yeah, no, that's a really
submission.
good bet. I didn't know that was. I actually might bet that tonight, honestly.
So
really
I don't know.
prop.
I don't know what you use to bet. So usually I drive to Mass or
RI
Connecticut RI Sportsbook. So I usually drive to Mass or Connecticut to make my bets on DK or FanDuel. But
okay, we need to hit the Nino sometime. We need to hit the Nino sometime, Colin.
We do. So anything else on this fight? I mean, we're on opposite ends here. I think I don't know.
Not much more. Yeah.
Yeah, this is just the first fight of the night. We're just getting started. So let's move ahead. Ricky Turcios faces off against Bernardo Sopaj, bantamweight division. I know Ricky Turcios because he was on that season of Ultimate Fighter as well, with Brian Battle and them. I think he was obviously in the different weight classes, Brian Battle. This one, I'm going with the favorite. I like Bernardo Sopaj a lot. Just not really seeing it with Turcios. He doesn't really beat anyone impressive. I mean, he faced off against Raul Rosas, lost 6 to 7 months ago at this point. Yeah, that fight got delayed like 3 times. I don't know. I just don't think that Turcios is on Sopaj's level. Sopaj is a new UFC fighter, so he's just came in March 2024. What do you think about this fight?
That's the other thing. With this fight specifically, it's very much a hands-off. I don't think I have this one in my parlay. I would assume I don't, because whenever it's a person first coming in like this and a person that's on a losing streak, or not even like a losing streak, but like a losing trajectory, which we will get into later with the main card, but because I actually feel a little bit differently about that later. But this specific one, I think, is such a toss up, and I don't think the bet makers have a good line on this. I think it's much more of a toss up than people think.
Yeah, I could see that.
But
I
wouldn't bet on it personally. I'm
not gonna use I'm just gonna use Sopaj and a couple parlays maybe. Like I think so. I've actually been keeping track of UFC favorites versus underdogs, and mostly every card there's been like one or two cards where it's 50-50, but on most cards at least 75% of favorites win. So it's like these are the lock them in like minus 300. You know what I mean?
I do have
a couple of these together.
I do have Sopaj on my parlay, so I can't talk too much, I guess.
Okay. I mean, I think it's a good pick. Like, I don't think Turcios is that good. I don't know. I think Sopaj, like they gave him Vinicius Oliveira, who I don't know much about, but I've heard the name. Like, I think he's a decent fighter for his first fight. So I think this is kind of like a rebound spot where they like give him Turcios, he can win that. I also like this fight to go the distance. I think these guys are both, not really going to look to knock people out, submit people. I mean, obviously they're going to look for that, but
that's a prop to definitely. I would bet on is.
I like that as part of. The thing is with the fights, you never know the props until like Friday or Thursday. So we're here on a Wednesday. I don't know what the odds are on all that, but
yeah,
I like this fight to go the distance as well. Sopaj, I like in this fight too. Anything else in this one? I mean,
no,
this is our second fight of the night. We can keep it moving. So speaking of wide odds, we have another bantamweight fight. We have Rinya Nakamura, who his odds actually. So usually I like to do my research on the weekend before. I think he was around like minus 425, minus 375. He's jumped up to minus 575, and he faces off against Muin Gafurov. I don't know. Usually I just like skip these fights because it's such wide odds, and I had Nakamura on here because his odds were lower as like a parlay piece, but I don't know. This just seems like it might be dangerous territory.
I have my lower too. That's why he's on my parlay. I am minus 575. It's a little bit scary, but I would still, if you need a little bit extra spice on your parlay to throw.
I mean, he's undefeated in the UFC, 3-0. Yep.
To make that 87 to 100, I would put him on there still.
Muin has actually lost to Said Nurmagomedov. That's really his only notable fight, like the only guy I knew that he's fought against. He's got some knockout power, so maybe you're looking at some danger there, but I just think this is like a setup for Rinya to just win this pretty easily. And I don't know how it's going to end too, so I'm not touching the distance on this really, because I mean, over half of Rinya's wins are knockouts. Same with Gafurov's too. So I'm taking Rinya. This is kind of like I'll get to my picks later and they'll make sense. But I'm thinking Rinya for this one. You're on that same page.
Yes, yeah.
You got him in a couple fights. Okay, so now this is where things get interesting. Yes. First, I'd like to hear your opinions on women's MMA. Are you one of the people who don't really like it, or
I love women's MMA?
You love it. Okay.
My top 5 fighters that I love, Zhang Weiliang.
Really? She had an electric fight at UFC 300. Just got a big title fight. She's fighting next card too.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting.
I love that. Her next fight, I'm gonna be honest, it's one of the most nervous I've been for. But in this current fight, oh my God, we are putting the house on Ailin Perez.
Thank you.
Oh my God, we are punching this in, motherfucker.
I love it. This is a max bet. I love Ailin.
I love Ailin Perez. She has shown, and Carl Rosa, not to take anything away from her, she has shown very good moments in MMA, but her losses show. She's lost to Irina Aldana, and she's had her wins aren't as notable as her losses, and I feel like Ailin Perez is another stamp in that booklet for her, where it's just going to be like, okay, I can win against someone coming up that's not going to make it. Like she's kind of like the boogeyman of that division, not really, but like
it's women's bantamweight
scenario.
Yeah. I like Ailin. So
like Ailin, though.
backstory on her second pot I ever did was UFC 302. I took her as an underdog there. She won me money.
Hell
so
yeah, same.
until
I've only bet on Ailin.
until
Always.
she goes on the until she loses, I'm gonna take her no matter what. Especially at almost plus 210. I think she
Put
was
the
like
house on
plus
Ailin.
190. Yeah, I think that's a straight bet. Ailin, like lock it in.
Her last win too, if I remember correctly, the Daniel Cormier on the commentary was trying to give her like a lot
Oh
of
my God, he loves her.
trying to poke at like different things that like she would be bad at and trying to note on it. And then in that fight, in that exact moment, her doing the thing that he was like kind of saying, oh, maybe she should worry about this happening in this grappling exchange. And I feel like she just kind of has that mental mindset. Her team always says, you'll hear it if she wins this fight. Her team is always like, big ovaries. She got big ovaries right here. Big ovary energy. And she does, bro. And she has that mind. She has that MMA mind. I think she's going to win this fight.
I agree. She also, since UFC 302, picked up a win against Daria. I think that might have been the fight you were talking about. Daria Zelenikova in September. Don't know who that is, but nice little 4-win streak for Ailin heading into this fight. Carol Rosa, I mean, that was, like you mentioned, I'm not really impressed with any of her like victories. Most of her wins are her notable fights. I mean, most of her losses are her notable fights.
Exactly. Most of her losses.
So I have a theory on women's fighting, especially you probably, being a better yourself, know this. Fight to go the distance. What do you think about that in this situation? It's probably like minus a lot because they know, but
I don't know. I used to be a big better on this. It's just tough because the other thing that I usually bet with women's MMA, or that I used to bet a lot, not so much anymore, but I used to bet a lot, is significant strikes. If you know that two strikers are going against each other, you know that they'll probably get more strikes in than the line makers make. And so I think Ailin Perez, I don't know. It's really tough to go to distance in this fight. Is very tough. I wouldn't bet on this. I wouldn't bet on this to go to distance. I would bet the house on Ailin Perez. It's a better line.
I'm taking Ailin. I'm also taking it to go the distance. I like those two bets, but glad we're on the same page about Ailin. Ailin fan club. Let's go. Big fight this weekend. All right. So last fight on the early prelims, we have Zachary Reese. This is actually a last-minute switch out. So he was supposed to face off against, I believe his name was Cedric Dumas. I could be getting that wrong. In, I believe this was yesterday. Enter Azamat Bekoev. So now he becomes the favorite. I think Zachary Reese was the favorite before that. So do you have any thoughts on this one? I don't know what you think about like the dropping the fight. I forget what the term is for it right now, but coming in late notice. So super late notice for Azamat. 3 days notice really before this fight. What are you thinking about this one? Or are you just gonna kind of skip it?
This one I did skip personally because I believe when I was making the bet, it was in between Dumas being dropped out and Bekoev coming in. However, I would say Reese is the underdog here. Yeah. I don't like him winning. I don't see him coming in here and beating Bekoev in any scenario. I've seen Zachary Reese fight, and it's
not. I saw that on people because I follow this Twitter page where they every time there's a new fight announced, they post the odds of it, and they posted that this fight, like the odds are opening, and I think Bekoev opened as like minus 250 or whatever, and people are like Zachary Reese just like sucks at fighting. So it's
just not impressive. Like his wins, I genuinely don't remember. Maybe because I definitely watch these fight cards. Maybe like going back and watching them, like I can point him, but I just don't remember. Maybe like I don't know. Zachary Reese is just a very, I hate to say it, forgettable fighter, and I wouldn't touch this. I wouldn't touch this line regardless. I think this will be a perfect go start making food or go refill your beer. It is
always nice to watch. Like you're in the middle of all your bets, and then you have one fight where there's just nothing on it. And it's like, okay,
and
just
you
like watch the sport.
Go pee, run to the bathroom.
Yep. However, I am taking Bekoev on this. Probably as like a parlay thing. Like, I'm not gonna take him straight up or whatever. Obviously, like,
Yeah.
we don't have to go over how that's a stupid bet, but I don't know. I think Zachary is pretty mid, and like if you're subbing in Azamat Bekoev here on super short notice, like I don't know if you watched Carlos Layout was subbed in on like super late notice at UFC 308. He fought in the first fight of the night, and he should have won that fight.
I bet money on Liao. But we were probably in the same boat here.
I bet on the other guy. I was like, that was another one, like the Gon situation, where I was like, I just didn't deserve to win that bet. But
yeah, I bet on Liao.
Azamat's accomplished. Like, he was a champion in his previous promotion. I forgot what the specific promotion was, but
I'm
like,
not familiar with Makhachev.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah. But you're gonna come in here on short notice. Like, they're gonna give he literally walked out as a champion on the other promotion, I believe. So or walked out as the champion. So him coming in here on 3 days notice, like I think this is a fight he's gonna win. So that's why I'm taking him. But I don't know. I like Dumas before as well against Reese. I'm kind of fading Reese at this point, but that's what I got on this one. So you said you're skipping it, so we'll head to the prelims.
We're going to the prelims right now.
The regular prelims. We just got off the early prelims. So first one on this one, we have a lightweight fight between Grant Dawson, Diego Ferreira. So actually, Grant Dawson, he got a decision win over Joe Selecki, UFC 302. Since then, he's also
crazy knockout loss to Bobby Green. I don't know if you watched that.
That was before my
that
time.
Fight at all? Oh my god, dude! Right, I'm thinking of the right thing. Like that loss to Bobby Green took so much off this guy's aura. However, he's still on my parlay. I still think he's going to win. He's a very good fighter. I just think once he gets past a Diego Ferreira, whoever they put them next, I would be a lot more wary. But I would pick Grant Dawson for this.
I'm also in the same boat. Diego Ferreira is 39. He's been in the UFC since 2014. Like, I hate to be the guy to be like, hang it up, but it's like, I mean, 39, when you get to the 40s, it's really like, let's go, dude. But I mean, he's fought Dariush twice, lost to him both times. He's fought Poirier and Gamrot. Like, he's fought some names.
He's fought great names. Yeah.
Yeah. He's beat Anthony Pettis, Michael Johnson. But I don't know. I think I'm going Grant Dawson as well. That's really his only loss in the UFC has been that fight you mentioned to King Green. Just doing some homework on him, but when he's lost, it's been.
I don't know if you followed up with, like, I remember watching that. I believe it was a fight night. Yeah, they were the headliners, and I remember like watching up to that and being like, holy shit, is this Grant Dawson dude? Someone like I remember betting on Bobby Green, but being like, is this Grant Dawson dude gonna be someone? Then Bobby Green just coming out and beating the
smoking
shit.
him.
It was 33 seconds. He knocked him out. Like, it was nuts.
Yeah. So I think this one also ends early.
No,
you think this goes the distance?
I think this. It could be a TKO early if Diego Ferreira gasses out. However, I think Grant Dawson is much more a wrestle heavy fighter, and I think he'll get his strikes in and then just control him. And I think he'll be more looking for a decision. But maybe I could be wrong here.
Maybe I'll look at the under because usually the over/under is at like 2.5 rounds. So maybe I'll take the under just hope something happens before the last 2 minutes 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But I'm with you on Grant Dawson. I think Diego Ferreira, like, nothing really jumped out to me, especially guys when they get up there in age aren't really performing as they used to. So I think this is like a step up for Grant Dawson. He gets to move on, face somebody higher, and then maybe he runs into some trouble. So moving on, another short notice. Bogdan Guskov faced off against Billy Ekelana. It was originally supposed to be Bogdan versus Johnny Walker. I know I haven't really been in the Johnny Walker lore. I know he's kind of like a meme or something, right?
Really? You're not so Bogdan. Wait. I zoned out for a second. What were you saying was his connection with Johnny Walker?
So this fight was originally supposed to be Bogdan Guskov versus Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker pulled out on Monday or Tuesday. I think it was Monday. Now it's Billy Ekelana versus Bogdan Guskov. Bogdan, whatever. Fucking up. So that was the connection, was Johnny Walker. He was originally a meme fight. I know he is a meme, but I don't know the back lore of it.
The thing about Johnny fucking Walker is there's like a very short span of MMA fandom lore time frame where everyone was like, holy shit, this guy might beat John Jones. Like, Johnny Walker might beat John Jones. But it was very quickly soon after that he just has one of the biggest glass chins in the promotion, but he is such an entertaining fighter. I would have loved to see Johnny Walker on this card. I think Guskov is a very safe bet here versus I actually can't say that he's safe bet because I don't know much about Billy Ekelana. However,
Yeah, that's the
Guskov,
thing. So Billy,
Guskov
this is
got a
his first
great
UFC
win.
fight as
It
well.
is?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Guskov got a great win over Ryan Spann because I bet on Ryan Spann. I remember that fight, him versus Ryan Spann. And I think that was a great win. And I think Ryan Spann is the type of guy that you need to beat to move on to someone like Johnny Walker. And this next guy is just going to be another stepping stone into probably a Johnny Walker rematch, or not rematch, but rebooking. So that I would say Guskov is a very safe bet. But if Ekelana shocks the world, it's another storyline in this card.
Yeah, this is the one that I'm staying away from. I mean, you stayed away from the other one with short notice.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing on this one. Like the other kid's a champion. I just don't see with Billy Ekelana, but it's also like I don't know if he's good or not. So he could just suck or he could be really good, I mean, the odds tend to indicate that he's not as good as Guskov. Something I maybe will look at is this fight to end early, as Guskov 14 of his 16 wins have come via knockout, other 2 via submission. So he's never won via decision. So this will definitely be a good fight. Might just kick the feet back and watch this one play out, like see a knockout, see a submission, something like that. Either way, because I mean, Ekelana also has 3 knockout wins, 3 wins, or he has 3 wins via decision. But I don't know. I think this is just a stay away spot for me. But did you include Guskov on your parlays or just?
That is actually a great question. I would believe that I did, but let me just be 100% certain on that. Guskov. No, Guskov is not in.
That just got short notice too. I think it was.
Yeah, both short notice fights are
Monday. Yeah, makes sense.
We're about to get into some juice here, I think.
Jailton, Almeida, heavyweight. Serghei Spivak.
The polar bear.
Is it Spivak or Spivak?
It's Spivak. Yeah, I believe
Spivak.
Spivak.
Okay. So very wide odds in this one. Jumps out to me a lot. I mean, I watched Jailton get a nice submission win over Romanov, UFC 302. A lot of UFC 302 fighters in this card.
Did you see the fight before that though? I believe it was the Sean O'Malley versus Cheeto Vera card. Jailton Almeida versus Curtis Blades.
So I did actually watch that card, but I don't remember that fight because I wasn't paying attention to who's who.
So this is right after Jailton Almeida beats Derek Lewis in his first main event. It was a main event fight night before this. He just beats Derek Lewis, I believe. Let me just fact check this 100%. Yeah, he just beats Derek Lewis. He goes against Curtis Blades, shoots a takedown, shoots fucking I believe 9 takedowns. He shoots and completes 9 takedowns throughout that entire fight. Second round, I believe, starts. Yep. Second round starts. He goes in for his 10th takedown of the fight. I think I had him at +2 takedowns or +3 takedowns. And he goes for his 10th takedown of the fight, Curtis Blades. Boom, boom, boom. Hammer fist, heavyweight. Yeah. I don't think Spivak's going to do that. However, Jailton Almeida's bread and butter is getting into that grappling scenario. Serghei Spivak's bread and butter is reacting at that point of being in that grappling scenario. He's not a boxer heavyweight. He's not like when he fought against Ciryl Gane in France. That was a tune-up fight for Ciryl Gane after losing to John Jones. Like right. He's not a striker. He's not going to go toe to toe with you. Jailton Almeida also not that guy. Jailton Almeida, a whole nother. We can go on a whole nother spiel about Jailton Almeida. He should not be in heavyweight. If you ever see him weigh in, wait till you see this weigh in on Friday. Wait till you see the weight difference between these two fuckers on Friday. Because Jailton Almeida weighs in 20, 30, 40 pounds less than the guy that he's fighting every time he fights a heavyweight. I don't get why he doesn't go down to light heavyweight. He would be a 4. Jailton Almeida against Alex Ferreira or against Ankalaev would be such a fun fight for someone who likes grappling. But That's beside the fact. I have a whole thing about Jailton Almeida.
I mean, feel free to let some of it loose. I've heard people talk about him. I know he's not the most like. I feel like it's kind of he's one of those back and forth guys where he's winning and then he's losing like stupidly. You were kind of alluding to it, but I like Spivak in this fight. Like I think these odds are way too wide. Like
It's too wide.
I think there's good value in Spivak here. Like I think there's a chance he wins this fight. Like I don't think he deserves a plus 360. So I'm gonna take him on the side. Like I'm not gonna put a lot on it, but I'm gonna have that's gonna be my rooting interest for this fight because I don't see Jailton Almeida like dominating this fight, and maybe he knocks him out early. Like it's heavyweight, so this probably isn't gonna go the distance. But I think Spivak.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, maybe because sometimes
this might be this actually. Out of all of the fights that you've said before this, I think this is the fight that you goes the distance because heavyweight fights are notoriously on sports books going to be lower times.
Yep.
These two are grapple heavy dudes. Like Jailton Almeida might find a submission. If Serghei Spivak wins this fight, it's going to be either a 3rd round submission, Jailton Almeida is gassed out, or it's going to be a UD because he got more. I don't know.
Yeah, I always think back to this Rosenstrike versus Tai Tuivasa fight at in Australia where it was just like 3 rounds, like that was just an easy decision. So I don't know. I think sometimes you get these heavyweight fights that
if Spivak wins, I think that's going to be that type of fight.
I'm probably not going to touch the distance, but I am going to put a couple bucks on Spivak. Like I think he can pull this off. I got faith.
I did touch this fight because how much I give Jailton Almeida shit. He is a phenomenal grappler, and I do almost always ride with him on a parlay. That's why I was so mad about the Curtis Blades loss. But
yeah, I mean, I will have some heart picks later on too. Like it's hard to.
He's always in my parlay.
Yeah, I respect
it's too much here. It's too much here. I didn't like putting him on there because it didn't win me that much, but he's on there.
Okay, so we have one more fight on the prelims. This got moved up a lot. I'm interested to hear your thoughts about Peyton Talbot. Minus 1,300 in this fight. Not really going to be a betting bout, but interested to hear what you have to say about Peyton Talbot. What do you think of him? Anything on Rayoni, Barcelos? I doubt it, but go ahead and give me your thoughts.
Things on Rayoni, Barcelos. But Peyton Talbot, when he first was popping off, it was before his fight in the Conor card because he was going to fight on the Conor card and that was going to be huge and that ended up being Alex Pereira and it was still a huge card, but there was a fight before that. What was that fight before that? The Ribas Namajunas fight night. He was just like everything that I saw about him, and then later on, everything that I saw about him was like, oh my god, this guy's kind of cool. Like he's got some cool like he's like a gamer. He kind of like likes cool things. He's into cool music, and like I liked him. And then the UFC started promoting him, and now every time that I see a Peyton Talbot like thing, I'm like, okay, he's really good, and I really like this guy. But like, can we see him get some good wins first? And this last one was when I was really like, okay. If he wins this fight, he's way too big of a favorite here. And if he wins this fight, I'll give him his roses and it's whatever. And then he won it flawlessly. And then I'm like, okay, I guess it's the next fight that I'm actually going to give him his roses. And then this one, I think I genuinely have to give it to him. His roses as a unranked fighter, I should say. Be specific here, as an unranked fighter.
I mean, there's the rankings and there's the levels to the unranked fighters too, right? Because you have like the guys close to the rankings, and then
especially a young guy too. Especially there's difference in unranked fighters that are young and unranked fighters that are older. Like he has so much room to improve, and he's shown so much cool stuff. Like I don't know. I think he's a very cool character to have in the cast of bantamweights, and I think if he's actually, forget about the sport. Let's talk about the business. He actually has a great chance to, if he wins here, get a semi-easy ranked fighter, maybe get another semi-easy ranked fighter, or if it's a high enough semi-easy ranked fighter, like I'm not going to pull up the rankings, but
the bantamweight, I mean, I think they have some name like Aljo. He's like
Aljo's not going to fight at bantamweight ever again in his career.
Really? Okay.
I don't think so. I think he's built for featherweight, and he's always been built for featherweight, and then killed himself to make the bantamweight.
Still, though,
And
you have like the Sandhagens laying
you have the
around.
Sandhagens, and
Figueiredo's
Sandhagen's
up
a
there.
great. Actually, okay, you give him an early 15. You give him a 15. Whoever's ranked 15, 13 there first, and then you give him a Sandhagen fight. And then if that goes well, because I think they match up so well stylistically, even if you believe Sandhagen's gonna dumpster him, destroy him, I think they match up stylistically where it'd be a fun fight regardless of the outcome. If he wins that, a Sean O'Malley, dude, I think that he, from a business, not a sport standpoint, but from a business standpoint, with how much he's getting pushed and shit, I could totally see him just getting an easy ranked fighter after this, going after a Corey Sandhagen, after that getting probably like either a fight night main headline, like automatically just skyrocket, or a like big headline in a pay-per-view. And then right after that, I think Sean O'Malley, if he wins that.
That would be fun, but I think they're still gonna step him. I put him in that same group with like Raul Rosas, Chase Hooper.
Oh, that's a good point.
Bo Nicol. Bo Nicol, they gave him Paul Craig. That's like a legit fighter, but I don't know. I just think
so lame to watch.
I know. Oh yeah, you were there. You were there.
I was there. That fight was so lame to watch in person. Although we were getting hype, I remember actually placing the bet 2 separate times, because I was once in Rhode Island when I placed the bet before I left, and then I had to place a different bet on DraftKings when I got to New York because I couldn't use RI Sportsbook.
Yep.
And it was like plus 1,400 for Paul Craig by submission, and they just stood and fought the whole time. I was so mad.
I don't know though. I think they like to protect the UFC. They're not going to ever admit it, but I think they like to protect these guys, like build them hype, get them these easy wins. Like, I mean, Talbot won in 20 seconds in his last fight. Like, I think this will probably end in the first round. I don't know. I mean, I like your theory. Like, I would love to see him go against like real competition. I just think they don't want the younger guys to pick up losses, and then they have to restart the cycle where they have to fight somebody. You know what I mean? So they want to just beat up on.
Bantamweight's too deep. Yeah, bantamweight's too deep. You just swayed me. Bantamweight's too deep because you have to realize, did Dominic Cruz announce his actual who he's fighting? Because I know
he's fighting Rob Font. I think that's in the Seattle card. I think it's in a couple weeks.
That is in the Seattle card. Fucking dude. Oh my god. Rob Font versus I just want to see Peyton Talbot face someone that's in the top 15
rankings. I think we might by the end of this year we might see that, but I just think it could take another fight or two before we get there.
I can totally see what you're saying.
Yeah. All right, so there goes all our prelims. It's time for the main events of the evening. Not that one, this one. So starting off, we have a very controversial fighter amongst my friend group, at least online community, Kevin Holland. He's got another bout coming off a broken rib. He lost to Roman Dolidze last time. He goes up against Rainier de Ritter. Curious to hear your thoughts on A, Kevin Holland, and B, his prospects of winning, because I don't really know Rainier de Ritter, so I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Don't think he's any slouch. He's a favorite for a reason, all right? He is I believe, dude, I'm going to have this wrong, and I'm going to feel so bad, but he's like a Norwegian kickboxer type, like crazy dude. Like so crazy that, so when I went to New York, there were so many people there from out of country in like just Times Square when we were walking around, just like drinking, hopping between bars, meeting different people from different countries that were just there to watch, not even to go to the fights, but just to be in the city where the fights are happening.
That's how
they'd be like, dude, like there was this one Norwegian dude with his wife, and he was there, and he was like, yeah, dude, I'm a Norwegian like MMA fan, and I'm like, dude, RDR, because RDR just fought recently against Mershart, which that fight was a great fight. We'll get into that later. But I'm like, dude, RDR. And he's like, that guy's real. Like, trust him when he starts to get his chance in the UFC. Trust him. And I'm like, I do trust you. However, that Mershart win was so telling, in my opinion. His win over Mershart It was so close. I had Mershart actually winning this fight because he was a very heavy underdog back when they fought. And I really wanted to see him win. Kevin Holland, I was alluding to this earlier in the video when we were talking about Ricky and Bernardo Sopaj about like a person who, or maybe not them, it was it was someone who just came into the it was Sopaj. It was someone who just fought one fight in the UFC versus someone who's been kind of on a losing streak in the UFC. Oh no, that was Zachary Reese. It was Zachary Reese fight. And I don't believe Zachary Reese is going to win that fight. However, I believe wholly that Kevin Holland's going to win this fight.
Yep, I agree.
I truly do.
You had me scared. I thought you were going with RDR, and I was like, I don't know shit about RDR. So, but
he's a really good fighter, and this should be a good fight. I think RDR is someone who I've been watching the Embedded this week, and I haven't seen a lot of RDR. I've seen a lot of Kevin Holland just like having fun, doing his thing. I believe RDR is definitely doing his thing, training, just like staying hardcore committed. But I always believe in Kevin Holland, and that's most of the time wrong. But Ryder de Ritter's win over Mershart isn't that impressive when you look at the full fight and Mershart as a complete fight. Like put Mershart versus Holland. Who do you think's going to win? Kevin Holland by a mile, right?
Yep.
So, and then you see how close their fight was, but MMA math doesn't work that way, and I understand that. But I would put money on Holland.
Yeah, so I have my people who I call who I call a punching bag, like I said about Anthony Smith, and I have the gatekeepers. So I think Kevin Holland is like a perfect gatekeeper where he'll lose 2, win 2, lose 1, win 1. And so far,
weird though. He's weird though because he bounces between weight classes. That's the only
he
thing
does.
That makes him...
He just cashes a check. But I feel like I have a clear vision on him because starting when I was first betting again, I saw him versus Michael Page, and I was like, Michael Page is going to win this fight. That was closer than I thought it was going to be, but he did lose. UFC 302, Holland goes against that kid, Michal Ojolek, whatever. I mean, that was kind of like, I think that was the fight. Yeah, that's kind of a gimme, but I was like, he's going to win that fight.
It wasn't a gimme. It wasn't. It's very similar to this fight that we have in front of us right now. It's very.
He got him
similar.
with the arm, right, in like round early.
That was a crazy. Yeah, no, that was stupid. I do remember that fight in the moment, but I mean, like, build up wise, like, like not a gimme, like when
it wasn't a gimme. Yeah, no, that I'm using that term loosely.
Yeah, this guy is very similar to like a de Ritter kind of like. This isn't a gimme fight, but it's like it's not like a Roman Dolidze who we just fought. Like Roman.
Yeah, and I was gonna get into that one. I was like, I like Roman Dolidze, and I was like, he's gonna beat Kevin Holland. So coming into this one, I was like, I just think this is a Kevin Holland win. Like I think he's coming off very short notice. I believe that fight was in October. Not short notice, but he broke his rib in that fight. That's why he lost the fight to Dolidze.
That was crazy.
I don't know how much time it takes to recover from a broken rib, but
I'm looking at the Embedded.
No, I don't watch.
You should watch the Embedded.
It's good.
It's great. It's 8 minutes once a day during fight week. Every day during fight week, they give like a short little clip of every fighter on the main card. You know what Kevin Holland's doing right now during this week?
Playing Fortnite or something.
Riding bulls. He's bull riding. His ribs are fine. His ribs are fine, or
that's. I mean, because I don't know if it was like a 1 month injury or like a 2 month injury. I mean, if he's riding bulls,
it should have been. It looked bad. I remember it. It looked bad.
I just think if like, well, I know Kevin Holland. He's always willing to come back for a check. The question is like, is how good of is his health? If he's even at like 70-85%, I think he can win this fight. Like, I think he can get like a unanimous decision, maybe like a 30-29 across the board, maybe even a split decision. But I'm liking Kevin Holland.
I would believe this fight to go the distance.
Yeah, I have that one to go the distance as well. The over as well. I'm not in the René de Ritter. I don't know much about him, but from what you just told me,
if he wins this fight, I'm on the RDR train 100%.
I'll join you because if you beat Kevin Holland, you're good. Like if you lose, he's like the gatekeeper. Like if you beat him, you're good.
He is the telltale sign of you in whatever division he's fighting.
Yeah, so I like him here. What you've just said makes me more confident. So glad we're on the same page with that.
Yeah.
Now let's get to Money Moicano.
Money Moicano, baby. I love this guy. Oh my god, I love this
Another
guy.
one who popped out at UFC France, the fight night in Paris. Just an absurd fight against not Benil Dariush, the other kid, Benoit Saint Denis.
Yeah. Oh, that one. I thought you were
And
talking
Jailton
about
Turner at
the 300 fight
yeah.
was nuts. The Benoit Saint Denis fight was just dominance.
Yeah.
The Jailton Turner fight was just like, okay, this guy is a fighter to take note of. Like
For
that,
sure.
like, oh my god, that put a stamp on. Before this, like, he was funny interview guy. He was like, I'm gonna become a cop to kill all the bad guys guy. And now he's like, holy shit. He builds himself right. He takes the right fights. He could be in a title shot soon. Or in a few years. He's got a way to go.
I think this fight's really interesting because he's on a hot streak right now. Like, he hasn't lost in a couple of years. But Benil Dariush, I mean, he's no slouch, but he's another one who hasn't fought since he didn't fight the whole 2024. So coming off that rust, I thought he was older.
Slouch. He has a green carpet when you look at it on UFC stats, but like out of his last 4 fights, he has 2 wins, and one of those wins is against Tony Ferguson. Like,
yeah.
I just don't like. He's been in those past ones. The Tony Ferguson fight was in fucking 2021, 4 years ago.
Like, I know. It's so hard for me to place time because 2021 feels like yesterday, but we're in 2025. So you have a point there.
True. But Charles Oliveira, like the fight. Sorry, not Charles. Benil Dariush. Every time I see him fight, I always see the embedded series, and I always see him get built up. I'm like, I love this guy. This guy is such a likable guy, but they're just giving him absolute killers in the division. His last 3 fights are going to be Charles Oliveira, Arman Tsarukyan, and Renato Moicano. Like,
yeah, that's absurd.
That's absurd. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know who you'd give him after this because I genuinely.
Him versus has he fought Benoit? I think that would be an interesting fight, him versus Benoit, because I always mix them up. So
that's actually a great fight. Benoit versus Benil.
Yeah,
that's a great fight. That's actually a perfect idea.
Matchmaker
or even him
here
versus Dustin.
Yeah, I think Dustin's gonna want something bigger because he only has like 1 or 2 fights left, right?
Yes,
but if he wants to go with a bang, like Dariush is beatable. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm taking Moicano.
Easy money. He said it at the press con. I was watching the media day today.
Oh, that was today. I'm gonna have to watch that after this. So, UFC 300 Moicano won me. That was like one of my bigger bets because he was an underdog against Jailton Turner. And then I doubled down on him against Benoit. He won that as well. So he's on my good side for winning money. So I'm with him here. I mean, it's hard to root against him. I don't really know Dariush that well, but he doesn't seem like a dislikable presence. But I just coming off a year's rest,
but it's tough to see him win here. To be honest, the only time that I've tuned in because before this he fought Gamrot and Ferguson and Tony Ferguson. The only times that I really tuned into his fights were against Charles Oliveira and Arman Tsarukyan, where he just got destroyed. I remember Charles Oliveira coming back and fighting Benil Dariush and being like, oh, this guy just lost to Islam. Like, did he lose a step? Like, let's see how he does. And he just looked flawless. And then I'm like, oh, let me see this Arman guy. Like, he gave Islam a run for his money. Like, he's supposed to be the next guy coming up. Dog walks Benil Dariush. Dog walks him. And it's just like, Moicano's going to have a fight on his hands. Benil Dariush should not be looked over for sure. But I just don't see a world where he wins. I don't.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised these odds aren't a little bit wider in Moicano's favor. Like, I think this is a good spot to take Moicano. Hopefully, it doesn't lose. But yeah,
I don't look like the Almeida versus Spivak, and they should be flipped. The Almeida versus Spivak in this money line should be flipped because like this, I don't know. Bet on Moicano. Easy money.
I agree.
Easy money, as he says.
Money Moicano. I like it. All right, so bangers on bangers. Boom! Before the title fight, Yuri versus Jamal Hill. Now, I know Jamal Hill is a very controversial person in the MMA community, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts on him. I'm a Yuri guy. Unfortunately, I did bet against him versus LX. I just thought LX kind of owned him when he was talking about like the spiritual stuff. We were laughing about that, me and my friends. But
That's a
I,
good. That's a yeah.
I like
A good
Yuri
time
here.
to fade your favorite.
Yeah, I like Yuri in this fight. Both last fight was against Alex. I mean, Alex is peaking right now, so it's like maybe. I mean, I don't think Yuri's gonna get a third time, but
that's the thing to look at here, and that's the thing that's going to keep yourself talking in circles about this fight over and over again. Because when you first asked me to come on this podcast, I thought about all the fights that were going on, and all the fights I could kind of like. There's the other two fights that we have after this. I also kind of got into this loop, but this fight most of all, I'm just in this loop of Yuri Prochazka. Both these guys have lost to Alex Pereira. Get that out of the way. Both of them have lost to Alex Pereira. Yuri Prochazka has fought him twice. Both times he fought Alex Pereira longer than Jamal Hill, which can go both ways of the argument. He's like shown himself more, but he's also taken more damage. And Jamal Hill hasn't shown more of his bag. Like he might have more in his repertoire than Yuri realizes. And then you think about they're just completely different fighters. Like Jamal Hill fights once in a blue moon. Yuri Prochazka fights whenever he can, whenever UFC allows him to. Like I put money on Yuri here for this fight, but I could see it going both ways because you just think about how these two fighters are, and yes, you can build up getting more experience throughout fighting more, but you can also build up having more experience through resting and more rejuvenance through your body. Like the last time Jamal fought was 300. Last time Yuri fought was 30. Was it 303 or was
303.
it? No, it was 303. So and before that, you know who fought? You know what else happened? Fucking Yuri also fought at 300. He fought at 300 as well. So it's just like you have this give and take with these two fighters, and it's tough. I think you can talk yourself in circles with this fight over and over and over again. But I would put my money on Yuri.
I'm with you. I like Yuri a lot, but that might be a hard overhead pick. Like I haven't seen anything from Jamal Hill that makes me like want to take him in this. I know he's good,
he's
but
good. People shit on him, but I think it's a very similar like shit on him kind of like it's not like a Anthony Smith kind of shit on him. It's like
yeah, I know. I respect him more than like I think he's a good fighter. I like Yuri's
really
odds in this
fighter.
one.
I like if for anyone who hasn't watched Jamal Hill versus Glover Teixeira, go watch that. That is he just shows every arsenal, like every part of his arsenal, and it's just he is a really good fighter. I don't know about him versus Alex Pereira. Him versus Jerry is going to be a phenomenal fight.
Yeah, this might be fight of the night. Like might be the fight I'm looking forward to the most.
I think if I was to put my house on anything, it'd be this being fight of the night.
I think it's a Yuri knockout. I'm gonna take Yuri method by knockout because, I mean, essentially all of his fights end in submission or knockout. I think I'm maybe wrong in this.
He never goes decision. Yuri never goes decision.
Okay, well, it's only knockouts. Oh yeah, 26 of 30 wins via knockout. So it's gonna be a knockout for Yuri.
He's got a sub texture.
Yeah, that was the one I was thinking of because that was when I was like right back into the UFC. But I'm looking at Jamal Hill's resume and it's not passing the litmus test really. Like he doesn't really have. I mean, he has Johnny Walker, St. Preux. I mean, Glover's a good win, but Glover was in his older days, you know.
You can say the same about Yuri. You can say the same about Yuri.
Yeah.
They fought the same Glover. And you can, when you watch both fights, they fought pretty much the same fighter. And then they lost to that same fighter's protege, which that's what I meant to put into full perspective about this fight at the beginning. I forgot about that completely. The Glover lost to both these guys in gruesome fashion. You watch both these fights back. It is a gruesome fight. Like he loses terribly in both fights, and then he trains this guy, and this guy this guy was great at kickboxing, and then trains him in MMA, and he starts to get big. They live in Connecticut, by the way, and then they just fucking they just like train out and Glover creates this perfect guy for light heavyweight while he builds himself in middleweight. He comes up to light heavyweight. Jan Blachowicz, who I don't remember if he fought Glover Teixeira or not.
I believe they fought, maybe.
They probably fought, definitely not for a title or anything, but these two guys fought for a title. And when he was given that first chance, I don't know if you remember the hype that was built up around Yuri and Alex, even though it was only within, I believe, a week, because that was the first time that these two motherfuckers were supposed to fight.
Yeah.
And they,
shit happened.
and that ended up, shit happened, and Yuri and Alex ended up fighting for the light heavyweight, which was still vacated by Jamal at that point. Which, how Jamal lost his belt, right?
Yeah.
Playing basketball with Daniel Cormier. You should watch that video. It's actually a very fun.
There's a video of it.
Well, yeah, they did I don't know if it was a charity, but they did like a live stream. Daniel Cormier set up a basketball with a bunch of UFC fighters. It's also, you need to watch it. You haven't watched the Embedded and you're a basketball guy. You need to watch UFC Embedded for 311 and watch episode, I believe, 2, and watch Arman Tsarukyan shoot about 7 times in a row with the ugliest form and come close once at Madison or whatever LA. It was probably Staples Center or some shit. And he's just like,
oh God,
it's terrible. It's terrible.
The Embedded series sounds fun. I'm gonna check that out.
Definitely, you should totally watch. It
always pops up on my YouTube because I'm always watching other shit with the UFC.
It's only 8 minutes. It's
that's not bad.
Than 10. I always watch it on my 15-minute breaks.
That ain't bad. All right. Anything else on Jamal Hill versus Yuri before we head to the
fight of the night? That's the only thing that I would
agree.
say.
I think this can be the banger. Like, honestly, these first, I think Holland versus De Ritter may be like a little bit of a boring decision, but I think Moicanio, then this fight, like the energy is going to be high. So hopefully these Dagestanis deliver, but we'll see. Yeah. So our first fight, co-main event of the evening, for the bantamweight title, we have Merab defending his belt for the first time versus the undefeated Umar Nurmagomedov. And Vegas is in love with Umar. You kind of alluded to your pick here. I want
to hear, yeah, exactly. Before I give my full spiel, I want to hear.
So my thing is, I am totally with the people who say Umar doesn't deserve a title shot. I think this nepotism of him getting, I think that's the right word, of him just getting a title shot off only beating Sandhagen. I think that's bullshit, especially in the bantamweight division where you have killers laying at the. O'Malley deserves rematch at some point. I know he's kind of hurt. Figueiredo's on a run. Peter Yan's on a crazy run right now. I think there's fighters that are way more deserving than Umar. So that's definitely going into my mind or sticking with me. So I'm taking Merab. I think stylistically, I think Merab isn't a layup for Umar. You saw Umar. I watched Umar versus Corey Sandhagen, and that was a very impressive performance. But Merab isn't Corey Sandhagen. He can defend takedowns. He shot, what did he shoot, 50 times against Peter Yan?
He is going for the most takedowns in UFC history in this next fight. I think he needs 3 or 5.
And then you have, the O'Malley fight. A lot of critics on that said it was boring. It was a boring fight. Unfortunately, I was flipping back and forth. I took O'Malley.
I love that fight. Oh, my God. Okay.
The kiss on the back.
I won't. I don't want to fully cut you off. Actually, I'll go.
No, I was wrapping up. I just think stylistically, I think Merab can stand in there. I think also we can talk about whether you think anger factors into it all, but I think Merab is pissed off about this whole situation because he doesn't get to just chill. Bilal got hurt, but once you win the first belt, you at least can chill a little bit, pick your opponents. But they're forcing him to fight.
They forced him straight into this.
Yeah, I think this is this might be an Umar wake-up situation, and you have Khabib in the corner. It's going to be a tough fight. It's going to go to decision. It's going to come down to who gets more takedowns, who's in the more dominant position in each of the rounds. Just the way UFC is scored, it's going to come down to can you pull off 3 rounds? And I think Merab can do it. And I think these odds are way too fucking.
Guys can do it.
Both of them can do it. Yes, I'm not discounting Umar, but I like Merab. At these odds, he's a champion. He hasn't lost since what, 2018. It's been almost 8 years, 9 years. Absurd. This is absurd disrespect.
I agree. This is disrespect. This is disrespectful. The odd makers are disrespectful as fuck with this one. I I gave my list. I gave my list because I told my friends at work today. I was like, oh, I'm going on this podcast, and he's gonna probably have me make his picks. And he was like, and some of them are degenerate gamblers. So like, give me your picks, and they don't know anything about UFC. And I go, hammer in Merab. Make sure Merab is on your fucking thing. They're like, this dude, Devishili at plus 200 at plus 240. Are you kidding me? And I go,
yes, sir.
he's the fucking champion. He's the
Don't be
champion of the fucking
disrespectful.
world. Like Umar again. Like nepotism is a great way to put it, but you have to think there is actually some weight when it comes to especially the fight that he put against Corey Sandhagen. The fact that Corey Sandhagen took that fight means that he was very confident going into, and I believe with how Corey Sandhagen fought that fight, he was very confident that he could win that fight. I think Umar just overpowered I forget what rank he was, probably third or probably second at that time, and end up beating him to get that second place. Like, I think it was very warranted. This fight is warranted. However, it was made after Merab ended up taking over. I don't think this Umar fight would have happened if O'Malley won.
Definitely not. Yeah,
definitely not. And we were talking about, you thought it was a boring fight in the
okay,
sphere.
So what do you think about, because there's the O'Malley camp that's all of a sudden is recounting the votes and saying they want. Like, I haven't rewatched the fight at all. Like, I was just kind of like,
the fight. It's blasphemy what they're saying.
I think they had 3-2 O'Malley, and I forget. I think it was like the first, fifth, and the third or fourth round. I mean, it's not boring because that's the wrong way to put it. I'm a casual fan. I don't, I'm not into the weeds with the wrestling stuff. So,
and I understand how it's not the best to watch, but I want you to take it from my perspective.
I understand. I'm sympathizing with you.
No, this guy who first got into MMA, and he was like, all right, my friends are so into the UFC. They love Conor McGregor. They love John Jones. They love all these different guys who are coming up during this time. And I'm like, all right, let me figure out who I kind of like. And I'm like, I'm not really a big fighter. Like, I wrestled and stuff, but they're much bigger, like BJJ, kickboxer, boxing people than me. And and they just do that in their free time. I don't do it as much as I should. But they're like, I look into fighters to like, and I see there's two fighters sponsored by like gaming companies. There's Mighty Mouse sponsored by Xbox, and then there's Aljamain Sterling sponsored by G Fuel. I love G Fuel, so I'm like, Aljamain Sterling's my guy. I love that guy, and so that's how I first get introduced to Aljamain Sterling. I see Aljamain Sterling build up his career, get the belt, or he might have already had the belt at this point, but continued to defend the belt more than anyone has ever done at bantamweight, and then get to the point where I'm watching him. At this point, I've been watching UFC for years at this point, or for like a while at this point, and like I'm excited to see my favorite fighter defend against this dude that everyone's talking shit about, saying Sean O'Malley, and it's in TD Garden. It's right near me. Right near me. Let me go watch this.
You were there?
I wasn't there, but okay. I would, you were
there.
The fact that it was in Boston also just added something to it to me. We're seeing just that highlight for a year. I saw Sean O'Malley knocking out my favorite fighter for a year. And then his best friend, who, by the way, I don't know if you know about this whole lore about Merab and Aljo.
I know they're really good friends. That's about the extent.
Okay, well, Merab could have gotten a title shot probably about two or three title shots before Sean O'Malley got his title shot. He was on that win streak that you look at his page and you see that green carpet. The UFC was going to give him that title shot versus his best friend, who the UFC didn't know at that point was his best friend. And so they're like, I'm not going to fight my best friend. I'm not going to do that. And then that goes on for however long. Merab just keeps on fighting the top people at the division, the Henry Cejudos, the Peter Yans, the people who pretty much being like the guardian of Aljamain Sterling, like keeping him from fighting these other guys that aren't the Sean O'Malley, the moneymakers. Sean O'Malley beats him. Aljo goes, all right, I'll leave the division. I shouldn't be in this division anyways. He's way too fucking heavy for that division. And so he leaves the division, and then Merab comes in. And that Noche fight has been building up for me as an Aljo fan for months. And like forever I've been waiting for this fucking shit. And then Merab just taking him down over and over and over again. And then he even brings this up. You brought this earlier about like the bad blood between the two camps, right?
Yep. The coaching stuff too. They just released that.
The coaching stuff and how Merab might be in his own head about this upcoming fight against Umar. But Merab even commented this on Media Day. He said, commented about this on Media Day. He said, I literally kissed Sean O'Malley. Like, I literally kissed him during our fight. I don't have any bad blood during. I'm having my most fun when I'm in the ring or when I'm in the octagon doing my thing. Like, I'm just having fun. There's no bad blood. If he beats me, he beats me. But if I win, I win. Like, I'm just having fun out there. So I think Merab just has the perfect mindset for this shit. Like, I just think he definitely wins this. Him at plus 240 is criminal. Whoever decided that egregious. Should be arrested. Like, they should be in jail.
This is free money. I'm with you.
Please put Merab on your parlay, please.
You just take him straight up. You don't need anything else
or
to
straight
hit.
Up, straight up, yeah. Put
plus
20 bucks on Merab.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I mean, that's all. I mean, I don't want to discount Umar. So if there's anything you have to say about Umar, I mean, I just think
is a phenomenal fighter. The only thing that I will say that Umar scares me the most about Merab is Umar, other than Islam, I guess, then out of Umar and Khabib, he seems like the way better striker. I think Islam is still a little bit above Umar, but I think Umar and Islam are very close in striking, where maybe this is like a new thing in the Khabib like training camp where they've been focusing a lot more on striking, but you can kind of just like tell. Like that Corey Sandhagen fight, his striking is on point. I think a reporter asked Merab about this earlier in Media Day about how like, oh, Umar's young. Do you think you'll see him later on through your career and through a rematch, or will you beat him so bad that there won't warrant a rematch? I don't think Merab can beat him Merab can beat him that bad to the point where he wouldn't be able to get a rematch. Umar was born in 96.
So 28. Yeah, 27, 28.
Like his birthday actually was not too long ago, January 3rd. But
happy birthday, Umar.
Happy birthday, Umar. Holy shit, actually. Maybe I might be wrong about this. Maybe I have the birthday wrong. But no, I don't think so. But he is so young. What I'm saying is I think this is the perfect time for a Nurmagomedov switching camp. Like Islam's gonna, we'll get into that later. But Umar loses this fight, and Merab and Umar lose. Umar loses to Merab, and Merab has his career. He'll probably end up defending against I don't even know who.
Peter Yan, maybe, but Sean, probably O'Malley rematch when O'Malley's healthy.
That's actually a really good question. Oh my god,
I could see it. I could see a title eliminator between O'Malley and Yan too. Like winner gets.
Dude, a title. The thing is, I don't think the UFC is ballsy enough to put Sean O'Malley in a title.
Yeah, they want to protect it.
Because I think Sean O'Malley in a title eliminator versus Yan or against fucking Umar is toast. I think Yan, dude, I don't know if you've ever
I love Yan.
Watched the Yan versus O'Malley first fight.
He won. Well, I was actually in Europe for that, but I was up early. It was like, I think the fight was also in Europe, and I remember people were so upset with that decision.
It's if you're a Yan fan, which it's weird for me being an Aljo fan, also liking Yan. I get
Yep.
that.
That was
But
one of the first big events I ever watched was the knee to the face.
that's sick. That's actually so sick that was one of your first.
That was a fucking like looking back on it, that was what, 2022?
It's
I
still the
think
only time that's ever
I
happened.
think on that card you had those two fight, and then I think Nunes was fighting like that
Holy
massive
shit.
chick.
Wait, was that also Leon Muhammad?
No, it was Izzy versus Jan. That was the 3 main events. You had 3 title fights. I could be
Oh
getting this totally
my
wrong.
wait.
That's an absurd event, but not to speak on. I mean, this card's stacked too, so maybe 2025 we're bringing the heat. But
I think so, yeah.
I mean, this might be card of the year already. Like I don't know, but yeah, I'm with you on Merab. I don't know what happens in the division if Merab's to win this. I think they could just give Umar maybe give Umar like a Figueiredo or something. I don't know. I mean, I think
You know who else was on that? Well, actually, wait. Yeah, I think a Figueiredo is a perfect. I think a Figueiredo, a Jan, because you can't have Jan versus Figueiredo next. I think you have loser of this either fights. If it's Merab, you have them fight Sean if he loses. If it's
I just think
Umar,
yeah. If it's
no,
Umar.
wait, you're right. Yeah, no, Sean's gonna.
So what I was gonna say, actually, what I was gonna say before is I think Sean has earned enough respect. Like he did defend the belt a couple of times, where he like probably deserves an auto rematch against Merab. Against Umar, it gets dicey though because I think Umar would just take him down and destroy him.
Wait. Defended about a few times.
I think it was like 3 or 4, right?
Sean O'Malley
Yeah.
didn't you just defend against Cheeto Vera?
No, it was Oh, maybe you're right.
Yeah, Sean O'Malley isn't
Well,
this dominant
still,
champion. I think he has this aura that is.
they're gonna protect him though. Is my
They're
point.
going to protect him. I believe in that 100%. I think he will absolutely surpass whoever whoever the fans want. It will be Sean O'Malley end up getting.
The problem is it's all wrestlers up there, so I think it's dicey waters for
That's
O'Malley.
why they don't want him in a title eliminator. They're just going to
Yeah.
put him in a title shot next. If he loses that, he loses that. And then I think the UFC will say fuck him at that point if he loses his next fight, which is probably going to be the winner of this or the winner of this in the next title eliminator, which I still don't think that would. I don't think Sean O'Malley would wait that long.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
Well,
predicting
he might move up. He's big. He's big for the weight. He's just scrawny. If he like his frame is big, he can move up to featherweight and fight, the Ilias, the Aljamain Sterlings again.
Diego Lopes.
The Diego Lopez, the fucking
Volk, him versus
Alexander
Volk.
Volkanovskis.
Yeah, that'd be
Him versus
interesting.
Volk, like he could do that instead because I don't think bantamweight is good for him right now. I think
Yeah.
if you're a Sean O'Malley fan, you want him to move up.
All right.
Right.
We've spoken. One more
spoke
thing.
a lot. We spoke a lot. And we spoke a lot about this specific card with Aljamain Sterling getting kneed. You know who else was on that card?
Merab or Umar.
Merab was on it. Or not Merab or Umar. Islam.
Oh, I think I missed that one.
Islam was on that fight on that card versus I can't believe I just had it up and I just closed it. But fucking this is so annoying. I pulled it up perfectly for this transition and then I fucked it. Shit. Aljamain fucking Adesanya versus Blachowicz. All right, Islam versus Drew Dober happened right before Pirion need Aljo in the face to give him his belt.
That was a great, like looking back on the 3 title fights in one night. Wow,
That's nuts. For it was COVID times, which makes sense, but it was March 2021. We were starting to get
that was when the vaccines were starting. All right, enough build up. Let's get to the main event of the evening. Lightweight championship up for grabs. Islam Arman Tsarukyan. Even wider odds for Arman. Makes more sense though. Islam's on a crazy run. So I think the question we lead off with here is, do you believe Arman Tsarukyan has a chance in this fight? And like what percent do you think? Or do you think it's just
absolutely. However, do I think Arman? I think we have this could go into a long ass argument about how we judge fights. I genuinely think Arman lost his last fight against fucking Charles Oliveira at 300.
Yeah, my memory
was
from that day doesn't serve me well, but I did bet on
I did
Oliveira.
I did have a bad memory. Yeah, I agree. But I do remember watching that fight and being like, and even rewatching it afterwards and being like, yes, Arman, by the way that we judge MMA now, won the fight. But like, if Arman is such a rules fighter, I feel like I don't know how to put it, but like he like a point fighter, like he just goes
Yeah.
for the points, and it's just like it could work, but against like Islam, I don't know if it will. And he showed Islam one of his hardest tests early on, and they both evolved so much as fighters. I wouldn't be against him, or I can't see a world, or I can see a world where he wins, and I can see a world where he loses. What I can 100% see is a world where I do not bet on this fight because I do not believe in an outcome either way, whether it goes the distance, whether either fighter wins. I can't tell you. I feel bad because the main event.
Yeah, no, I know.
I don't know.
I feel the same way. Like that was me in the Merab versus Sean fight because it was just two different styles. I mean, this isn't the different styles thing, but
They're
it's like
similar, yeah.
I just don't know. My heart wants Arman to win, just like to spice it up a little bit. I mean, Islam's no boring fighter at all. Like he has interesting fights. It's just I want this Dagestani reign to end. But I don't think both. I think if I'm already taking Merab, like I can't take Arman as well. I am going to bet on Arman, but I think Islam's going to win this fight. Um, I don't know who Islam like loses to. Like
I think I hate to be like a wham wham baby, but I feel like Islam is kind of a weight bully at this weight. Like he is too big. Like everyone says it too, and everyone said it about Khabib back when he was fighting. Like they just cut so much weight somehow, and they just should not be at lightweight. Like, or yeah, lightweight.
yeah.
Like it's just I
Arman Tsarukyan, though, I mean, he looks jacked.
he looks jacked, but he's small. Like he's smaller than Islam. Islam doesn't look jacked because he shouldn't be at this weight.
Yeah.
That's why he doesn't look jacked. Like he is just like you look at his frame and it's just not filled all the way out. Like he could absolutely, like I don't feel the same way about Ilya Taporia going up to featherweight, or going up to lightweight. But I feel that same very much way about fucking Islam going up to, is it welter next?
Middleweight, welterweight. I can never get
welter to middle. It's welter to middle.
I have no idea. So
Middleweight's before light heavyweight.
Let's go to an imaginary world where Arman wins this fight. How does he do it in your opinion? Like, what are the keys to the success here? Like, do you think he knocks him out? Do you think
the keys to success here are Arman Tsarukyan? A lot of people, I don't know if it's actually been promoted this much in this fight. I remember it being promoted a lot during the Charles Oliveira fight, but he has ridiculous flexibility. Like you cannot submit this guy. That's why he didn't get submitted against Charles Oliveira in 300. There's like videos of him. I don't know if it's him going to the chiropractor or him going to some doctor where they like move his arm and like move his neck to like gross proportions. And I just think Arman's way of winning this fight is surviving. But in those moments where he survives, he's very, very good at rotating out of there and reversing the position onto the opposite fighter. And I think that's the way that he wins, is by control. I think that this fight, if it stops early, it goes to Islam. I see this fight, if it goes the distance, going to Arman or Islam. But if Arman was to win, I would really only see that going to distance. But I also am not super versed on pre-Arman getting into the like main view. Like I don't know much about him before the Beneil Dariush fight.
Me neither. So
he dog walked him. He dog walked Beneil.
Armin says he's going to do something that's never been seen before. Do you put any stock in that? He has like a secret.
I mean, I literally give that the same stock as I like every fighter. That I give a little bit more stock to that than when Sean Strickland says that they're going to draw blood in the ring. Like, I believe that it will happen, but I don't know. It's just kind of a way to promote the fight. I am already excited for this fight. I already know that the things that I'm looking forward to this fight will be in it. It's the things that they're promoting to everyone else that I understand why they do it.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm looking at Armin, probably just going to throw a couple bucks in him just to have something in this fight. But I don't know. I don't really see like that bet hitting, but I mean, there's a chance. If we get and still, then and new, I'll be so surprised. Like, but I think it's gonna be
hype. And still, and new would be hype.
I think it's gonna be double and still. That's my official prediction. But I'm hoping for an Armin win just to spice things up, because I think he's like, because that opens the door for other people. Like Charles can come back for a title shot.
Yeah,
other people in that division.
Totally, I mean, that immediately opens up the door for Charles to get the title.
Yeah, rematch too, because he lost the first one. All right, so there's our card, UFC 311. Let's run through our picks now. So, do you just have parlays you want to give out, or
I want to give out my specific parlay, and I want this to be given out to any of you people out there listening that have work Sunday morning. All right, this is my parlay. This is what I do every UFC card. All right, I start off the bet. I pick all the favorites. All the favorites to start off. However, I do have a small difference in this. I make a 10-leg parlay. I make it for $1, and then towards the end, I start to get a little bit spicier. So that way, if the parlay falls off early on, it's just bedtime. You just go to bed. Parlay's done. You just go to bed. Yep. And then, because you got work in the morning anyways. I don't always have work in the morning, but sometimes I do. But this is the parlay that I make.
Do you have work in the morning this Sunday?
This Sunday I don't, but I still always make the same parlay because I originally made it when I first had work in the morning. And then I just, regardless.
Yep.
I have Ulanbekov winning. All these are money lines, by the way. RS Sportsbook sucks. Ulanbekov money line minus 320. Sopaj money line minus 300. Nakamura minus 500. Ailin Perez, our dog,
yes,
plus 210. Grant Dawson minus 260. Jailton Almeida minus 480. Kevin Holland minus 105. We got this. Ronaldo Moicano, Izo Money minus 165. Yuri for plus 105. And then Merab for plus 260. That is my parlay. $1 to win $251.05.
Love it.
That's the Shizzy parlay.
Is that all?
That's it. I mean, I also have a cushion that I have after that, but that one's lame. It's just Islam, Armin, and favorites.
Yeah, I mean, it's the tough part about betting UFC is like the favorites is going to win most of the time. I touched on that earlier. So it's kind of finding the underdog. So I'll give my 5 favorite picks. First pick, Ailin straight up. We kind of were on that already. Plus 165. I believe that's gone up. It's like plus 185, plus 210, I think is actually what it is now.
I think I had her at 210.
So that's a good payday just in itself. Like, let's not complicate things. Make a parlay. We already have a plus 210 underdog. That's a money-making opportunity. So I've got the favorites on the prelims. So this kind of runs out with the prelims, but hopefully we're still paying attention for the main card. We'll have different parlays there. So favorites on the prelims, I got Sopaj, Nakamura, Dawson, and Bekoev. Moneyline parlay, all pretty decent favorites. I think Nakamura is like -5, whatever. So hoping that one's just an easy one. Like the favorites all win. Maybe one of them will get upset, but we can't think like that going in. Yeah. Third one, heart overhead parlay. So 2 of my favorite fighters on this card. We both like them a lot in their fights, but it could get dicey, especially with the second one. Moicano moneyline first, and then Yuri. Obviously, the risk lies within Yuri, but
that one's really tough. That's really hard in your hands. I like that name of that picks.
I like to name my parlays, because I got to be honest here.
That's a good name. That's a good name.
So fourth one, we got the distance parlay. This one's a little crazy. I have 4 fights to go the distance. So Sopaj, Turcios, Perez, Rosa, Holland, DeRitter, and then Merab, Umar, all to go the distance. I don't have a lot of faith in this one, but maybe I'll take. You mentioned you didn't like the Perez fight to go the distance. I'm gonna look at the odds of that because if it's like minus 400, like women's fights are, maybe I'll just take that one off.
Also add in Spivak, Jailton, Almeida to go to distance.
I might just take that separately because that might just be plus on that. Might be
add that into that parlay. I think because I think that's definitely going the distance or at least going over what it has.
Okay, well maybe I'll sub that in for the women's fight. Last one, we both loved it. Merab money line straight up, even bigger payday than Ailin at a plus 240. Let's keep this championship, Merab. Let's go. I'm amped. Merab.
Keep that fucking belt, Merab, please.
Bonus bet, so I don't want this to count for the record, but I may take this. So I don't think they have round robins on RI Sportsbook.
No, they don't.
But I'm gonna do a round robin with all some of the underdogs I like, connect them by 2. So if 2 of them win together, that's a parlay. I don't know if you know how a round robin works. Anyways, Armin, Merab, Yuri, Spivak, Ailin, and Carpenter, our first fight of the night. So 6 there. If 2 or 3 of those win, I think it goes over because it makes all the possible parlays within those of 2. So hopefully the math's there. I haven't been successful with the one I tried before, but this is just a bonus pick, so we'll see what happens. So that's it. That's UFC 311. Is there anything you'd like to plug? Are you still on Twitch these days?
I'm still on. I don't stream that much, but I definitely have.
I was gonna say I don't think I've got a noti in a while.
Lil Shizzy on Twitch. I might start streaming again. Who knows? Also follow me on Instagram, the Shane Crosby, ShaneCrosby.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put your links in the description. Hoping to have this one out tomorrow morning, Thursday morning. So UFC 312, would you be down to come back, give some takes for UFC 312?
312, absolutely, brother.
We got Turcios, Strickland.
I think we get your old.
I tried, dude. Like we had maybe he was. I told him that you were gonna come on the podcast because he came on for UFC 303. Yeah. And I had mentioned to you that was a bad episode. I don't know if people who are watching this will go back and watch that. We were filming by a river. I was just like going through the fighter's resume. It wasn't a good episode. So maybe in this setting, we can figure something out to get more people involved. If you want to pull in some of your people too, I mean, the more voices, the better. We can have some discussions.
Yeah, I might be able to actually. Yeah, but we'll see.
All right. So stay tuned. I mean, I don't do the fight nights because it's like I'm not doing a podcast every week, but I do the numbered cards.
There's some good fight nights sometimes.
There are.
That China fight night was one of the best cards I've watched, period. And I stayed up till 3 a.m. to watch it, and it was amazing.
That's sick. Yeah, I woke up and saw that Jan won. I was hype. Quickly before we go, picks for Izzy versus Imavov, and then Shara versus I forget who he's fighting.
Shara versus
that'll be in between.
Yeah. Oh, I could definitely give you my picks on this. I think Izzy's got really something to lose here, big time. So I would be really interested in betting on Izzy. I don't know the lines right now. If he's was minus, underdog,
Izzy's minus.
I'm betting on Imavov.
185. Imavov is plus 155.
Yeah, I'm betting on Imavov. Shara versus Michael
Page. Yep. Shara minus 185.
I'm betting on Michael Page. Like both those guys being dogs, I think any of those 4 guys being dogs is criminal. I think those all should have the Reiner, DeRitta, Kevin Holland
pick'em.
Yeah. Pick'ems. Yeah.
This is actually a good card. Serghei, Pavlovich, Rosenstrike, and then Saeed.
So really good. I think this is actually one that you could probably run down.
Yeah. I don't want to jump
McKinney in here. Oh my God.
I don't want to jump into these because then I have to, I'm that type of person that needs to do them all. So I'm sticking with the numbered cards for now. So we will see you back for UFC 312. Thank you to all of our supporters out there who watched this video. Hopefully our picks win and we'll win you some money out there. Take our picks. And as always, be easy.